Hi, my name is Laura Fales and I'm the Food Service Director for USD 320. And I am so thrilled to be partnering with the Wamego Public Library for another series of Cooks and Books videos. We're going to have a lot of fun these next few weeks and a sneak peek of all of the ingredients that we'll be using. We'll have 4 recipes and I hope that you will join us each week in June. Hi everybody! Today we're going to make pesto flatbread pizza. In your take and make bag, you should have all the ingredients that you need to make this recipe. Remember that the first thing that you need to do before you start to cook in the kitchen is to wash your hands. Be sure to wash for at least 20 seconds. So I've already washed my hands and I'm ready to go. So these are the ingredients that we will be using today to make our pesto pizza flatbread. We have flatbread. Your recipe calls for naan bread, which is basically the same thing as this, except naan is round and these are square. You'll also need some pesto sauce, shredded mozzarella cheese, cherry tomatoes, and some pan spray. So the first thing that we need to do is to wash our tomatoes. I'm going to take those over to the sink. The easiest way to wash lots of vegetables at once is to put them into a colander. And while I'm running cold water over with my clean hands, I can stir these around in the colander and give them a good rinse. Okay. So you have 1 flatbread in your bag. I'm going to be making 2 today, but the next step is to spray our pan with some pan spray. And you can use olive oil pan spray or regular pan spray. If you don't have any spray, you can use regular oil and a paper towel and spread that out over your pan. Okay, so we've got our bread placed on our pan. The next step is to use our pesto. We're going to be using a tablespoon. And pesto tends to separate just a little bit, the green from the oil. So I always like to give mine a stir. And we're going to put 2 tablespoons of pesto onto our flatbread. So using my tablespoon measuring spoon, I'm going to put that right in the middle. And we'll get the other one. Pesto is really delicious and you can make it at home or you can use store-bought. This is store-bought, but it is made with basil and olive oil and some garlic. It's very tasty. So now we're going to spread that pesto out almost to the edges of the flatbread. You want to leave a little bit of room. You see I got too close over here, but that's okay. Don't worry if that happens. Okay, so we've got our pesto. Then we're going to put 1/3 cup of mozzarella cheese on each one. And I'm going to try to sprinkle that around a little using my hands to make sure that it's spread out. Now, this recipe calls for 1/3 cup, but who doesn't love cheese? So if you want to put a little more cheese on there, you certainly could. Okay, we've got our cheese on there, and while that's been happening, our tomatoes have dried from their little rinse. So we'll move that out of the way just briefly. And our recipe calls for 12 cherry tomatoes on each flatbread. So you can see I'm just cutting these right in half, making sure to keep my fingers well away from the blade. It's important that your knives get sharpened pretty regularly, so that helps keep them nice and sharp and doing the job that they're supposed to do. Okay, we've got our tomatoes cut. I'm going to bring my pan right back up here. And now we're going to put our cherry tomatoes right on top. Now this recipe does involve using the oven, so make sure that you have an adult who can help you with that in turning the oven on, making sure that you have the hot pads that you need, getting it to the proper temperature. So this is where you might need a grown-up for a little bit of help. Okay, so don't those pizzas look delicious? Now they're gonna go into the oven, which I have already preheated to 400 degrees, and these take about 8 to 10 minutes to cook. So super fast, really easy after school snack or supper that you could make for the whole family. Before those go into the ovens, I'm gonna highlight the books that we have to go along with this recipe. We have a step into reading book called Pizza Pat. And in case anybody needs some tips, here's a book on how to eat pizza. And if Italian food is something that you enjoyed, here is a great kids cookbook on Italian cooking, full of recipes about pizza and pasta. And for all the grown-ups watching, this is a great book called The Lost Art of Feeding Kids. And this is what this mom learned in Italy about how to feed kids. So kind of a little Italy connection there. Okay, we're gonna take our pan and go to the oven. Our ovens look a little different than your ovens at home. Our oven is preheated, and I'm gonna put this on the bottom shelf. There we go. They're in. And I'm gonna set that timer, if it cooperates, for 8 minutes, and then we'll check our pizzas. Are you ready to see how delicious this pizza is? The timer just went off, so making sure that you have some oven mitts in your hand, very carefully pull out your pizzas. And we're gonna take them over to the counter and cut them. Look at how tasty those are. Delicious. We are able at school to set hot pans right onto the stainless counters, but at home, you'll probably wanna make sure that you have some oven pads down onto the table to protect your countertop because the pan is really hot. Also, we have pizza cutters here at home, and you may or may not have a pizza cutter at home. If you don't, you can use a regular knife to cut your pizza. So we're just gonna cut this into 4 pieces. And I would love to take a bite right now, but I know how hot it is since it just came out of the oven. But here is our delicious piece of pesto flatbread pizza. Thanks for joining us. See you at the library and see you in the lunch line.